We're Cassie.
And Emily.
And this is Book Bits and Chill, a podcast where we talk about books, movies, and pop culture the way that you actually experience them.
This show is for type B readers, people who love stories but don't want the pressure, perfection, or the participation trophies.
Hit follow, grab a drink, and let's talk about it.
We are so excited for today's episode because we're joined by an author whose books have completely taken over our brains and our souls.
That is right. If you've spent any time in the fantasy book world lately, you have seen that people are talking about In the Veins of the Drowning and Up and Coming in the Wake of the Ruined. From the unforgettable sirens to the morally great characters, the absolutely wild plot twists, and one of the most atmospheric worlds we've read in a long time. These books have been making waves for all the right reasons.
And as Cassie said, on July 7th, we're getting the epic conclusion to the Siren Mage Duology, In the Wake of the Ruined, and early reviews have already been rolling in. It has 4.5 stars in Goodreads, and people are screaming about this book on the internet.
So today we're going to talk with the incredibly talented mind behind this, Kalie Cassidy, about building one of our absolute favorite fantasy worlds, writing some of the best yearning we've read in recent memory, and creating scenes that had us texting each other in all caps.
Kalie, we are so excited to have you here. For anyone who hasn't met you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I am so glad to be here. Thank you for having me. What an introduction. I'm sitting over here like, oh my gosh, thank you. I am Kalie Cassidy. I am the author of the Siren Mage Duology. I am a former actor turned author. I am from Southern California, born and raised. I currently live in the Midwest with my family. And I guess you'll learn the rest as we chat.
Yeah, that's right. So to kind of warm us up and to get to know you a little bit more, we start out with a little rapid fire kind of vibe check. So we'll start out with the character that you trust the most in the Siren Mage Duology.
Agatha.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that tracks. That tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was between Agatha or Lachlan. I was like, either one. Could go either way.
But
Yeah.
Agatha is hands down my first choice.
Makes sense.
Okay, when you're writing, are you doing playlist first or plot first?
Okay. I would say plot is first, and then the playlist is going to come in and kind of like bolster these things. But beyond all of that, characters are like the first thing that come for me, and then I'm filling in behind.
Oh,
Love that. You can
absolutely
tell.
comes
You can
through.
absolutely tell the characters come through.
Mm-hmm. If you weren't writing, what would you be doing?
I think I would still be teaching acting. I previously did a lot of like kindergarten through 18-year-old theater, film, acting, and I loved doing that in between doing shows. So I would probably find a place here where I live now and keep teaching.
You know, you're speaking to Emily and I's hearts. We are both separately thespians. I was behind the curtain running costumes, and Emily was on stage. I was told by many an acting coach that I smiled too much when I was talking, even about like incredibly sad things. They were like, "Stop smiling."
Stop smiling. Yeah.
So we love
I
that.
love that. Okay, yes or no, really quick. After writing these books, are you more or less afraid of swimming in open water?
More.
More, yes.
I will say that like the root of this book was like I grew up on the Pacific Ocean. I learned to swim in the ocean. It's terrifying. And so that was very much, I was like, hey, the sea is scary. I'm going to incorporate that into a book. So that was a big part of the inspiration.
I was scared of the ocean before, and I am absolutely more scared now.
That was my intention.
For sure.
Like I'm like, let's freak everyone. Like let's get some thalassophobia in here. It's so scary.
You were successful.
Thank you.
Branching off of that, we are going to go into your Google search history. What is the most unhinged thing that you have Googled while writing these books?
Okay. I mean, expected the things that happen to a body as it drowns.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Don't get me started,
Like,
Kalie.
Work, how long does it take? Like those things. And then kind of spoilery for book 2, researching like what happens to bodies when they're submerged underwater for a very long time.
This all tracks.
I have many questions about this.
Yeah, or what could happen. Yeah.
Okay, and one last question before we dive into the book-related questions. If you were trapped in your own world in this book for a week, where are you heading first?
Oh, Theo's castle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Seems
that
like the
makes
best
sense.
place to be.
I did not know if you had some dark soul in you and you wanted to go to the scariest place.
I know. I
Oh,
was
no,
like,
no,
maybe she
no.
wants to go to Anthemosa or something like that.
Thank you. No, we're on Varia. We're having a good time at the
That's
pretty
fair.
palace in the gardens.
I
That's
love
fair.
that.
That is very fair. Okay, so we would love to kind of high level start out with how you even built this world, because the thing that continued to stick out to us is just how incredibly unique it was, and how it, on its complete own plane it was, which is just a testament to how creative you are. Which feels almost radical within the genre right now, because there's a lot of consistency, which is good because we love it. But when everything is a trilogy or kind of a sprawling series, like, what made you commit to telling this story in only 2 books? And did you know that to the start, or did you kind of evolve that as you were writing?
No, I always knew that this story was going to be 2 books. And I think that part of what dictated that is, for me, I like character focused stories, and that's
Yeah,
what I wanted. This story was Imogen's story, and it always was. And so while I think a trilogy, more epic stories, we have all those subplots. We have all of those extra
right.
things that are flesh, that make the lens very wide to sustain a story for 3 books.
Yeah,
I didn't have 3 books worth of story.
Yeah.
And I also had an intention where I wanted this to be a fast-paced book
yeah,
series as well. I wanted the pace to feel quick. Um, and so because of that, I don't think there's a lot of filler in these books. There aren't
no,
we're very close.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, like, we're close with Imogen, and even in book 2, we zoom out. I do consider book 2, like, if our lens is tight on Imogen in book 1, we do get wider. We get more of the world, we get more of the lore, we get Theodore's
right.
POV in the second book, but we're still tracking her arc. And
Yep.
so I think for me, it was like, okay, I'm gonna write one big story, and I'm gonna chop it in half,
Mm,
and we've got the character's arc. We've seen and grown with Imogen through this story.
Yeah.
And that was always my intention.
Is
there
there
were
any?
two things I was screaming at Cassie about when I started reading these books, and I was like, this book never lets up. Like, I keep wanting to
No,
go to bed and stop at a chapter, but you can't because there is
Yeah.
no pause.
truly, truly. It was so impressive. And was there anything that you still think about that didn't make it into the book or onto the page that you wish that you did?
Um, there are some things that felt superfluous to me, but I kind of enjoyed. But when I started to see the actual shape of the story as it was coming, and that this was the pace I wanted to keep, not every story I write will be so, fast.
Sure.
I think different stories call for different atmospheres. I think the
Yeah.
pacing is part of the atmosphere, and I think I really wanted to build that kind of dread and the anxiety. Pacing can be a conduit for that
Yeah.
as well, like, we're not letting up. Imogen is also experiencing this, like, not let up through her through
Yeah.
her experience. So it is kind of immersive in that sense.
Yeah.
Why
Um
did you want to make us so anxious?
I'm a little cruel. No, I think that I think this comes from my theater background. I love character. I
Yeah.
love getting close and connected to a character. And so this being in first POV, the reader only knowing what Imogen knows and only learning it as she learns it. Like, it's as close to an immersive sort of reading experience that we can get. And to me, like, that kind of ups the humanity and the emotional experience of it. And
Yeah.
that's a wonderful thing about reading, is that we get to experience another character's world.
Yes. One we
Agreed.
will never experience, hopefully, because I will never be on
Woo!
mountain water.
No, we don't know.
Not anytime soon. That's for sure.
Take us back to the very beginning. I know that you said it was character focused, but there is definitely one thing that sticks out big time when you're reading these books, and it's the sirens. So, did these sirens arrive to you fully formed in your brain one random day, or how did they come to life?
So, I mean, I was a Greek mythology child. I
Mm.
loved reading like my illustrated Greek mythology book. I was always fascinated by the siren, myth and creature. But I was always also kind of confused and like entranced by the fact that they have changed their shape.
Right.
Mm.
They are winged. They're essentially like birds with women's heads.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
the
Because you think
Odyssey.
they're mermaids sometimes.
Yes, and
Right.
that's how their shape, I mean, this is, thousands of years old, right? This creature, this mythological creature. But to see how they like transformed over time, and part of my research, I'd actually found this book that was a required reading for like a college like women's study course, and it
Mm.
was about sirens. And these professors had sort of gathered all of the examples of sirens in art and literature over the millennia, and you can see how they move from these bird things to
Mm.
fish things to there's art of them just being like women in the water.
Right.
There's nothing different about them, but the threat is always the consistent,
Yeah.
their what their power is and the threat that they pose is what remained. And so there was a lot, I think, in reading all of that research that kind of came to me in earlier iterations. The
Sure.
sirens were a lot more birdy. They had like I even had her have more like taloned feet and stuff, and I was like, I don't need to go this far. So I like pulled back a little bit. But I think that the shifting,
Yeah.
Imogen being able to hide what she is and like pull her wings back, and that she has this other shape, really came from the mythological creatures like metamorphosis over all these
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
But I also think there's an allegory for me there too, in that like women have had to sort of shapeshift to keep themselves safe, to
Yeah.
to fight, to preserve themselves in so many ways, and
Right.
we see that in the sirens in this book as well.
I was gonna say I've
Absolutely.
always related to sirens a little bit because they're always trying to take down the men. I'm like,
They're the
that's
downfall of men.
exactly
Yeah.
what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Yes. Honestly, I agree. So
Yes, correct, correct. I think that's why we resonated with Imogen so much.
Yes.
I think something that I struggle with as a reader is being able to properly visualize these like big sprawling worlds that these amazing authors tend to build. But you are honestly one of one in like crafting your imagery and really immersing your readers in the world that you're building. And I would love to understand how you went about that. Does your background in performance and theater play into that in terms of like how you're building out these scenes? Because I literally felt like I was in the water, on the ship, in the castle. Every single
Yes.
scene was just perfectly painted.
thank you. I think that for me, I personally like to think about things in tactile ways. I think that I also am I visualize things very vibrantly, both when I read and when I'm working on a story. And so I think because of that, like I'm seeing it as a movie, almost like fully
Mm-hmm.
detailed in my head. It's a lot
Mm,
easier for me to grab those things. I'm
right.
also a very my books are short. I'm a very tight I might not be a tight drafter, I'm a very tight editor. So to me, I'm like,
Ooh.
how can I take a knife to this and pick the most impactful words, say the least
Yeah.
while saying the most? And I think that that kind of lends itself to that kind of like hyper atmospheric feeling
Yeah.
when reading I really try to think about, okay, how do I ground the reader here? So that I think is like a big push for me. I'm also really inspired by Gothic literature, which I
Mm,
think does that really well as well.
yes.
It is a very grounded, um I want there to be that lurking dread. I want there to be
Yeah.
that sense of ominous darkness. And
Yeah.
so I've, read grown up reading Gothic literature that I think has impacted my writing a lot too.
Yes, when you were writing about these, maybe spoiler alert for book 2, the intestines in the water, I was literally scream texting Cassie in all caps. I could not believe how disgusting and gory and
So
so
gross.
imaginative this was, and I need to
Unreal.
know why this was happening to me.
Okay. Let's start at the beginning. I think that
Take us back.
take you back. This all starts to me it felt like to me it felt like a natural progression of the magic that we're that I'd created. Um, w- I Yusha was executed
Yeah.
Yeah.
by way of being gutted.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so and there's this whole religion that has been built around her
Right.
execution, her sort of sustained existence, the robes that, Halla wears at the end of the first book are mimicking that death wound.
Right.
And so for me, it made sense that this and we have the story of her of Yusha arriving in Obelia
Yeah.
and her her body empty. And so as I was like working on the next book, I was like, well, where's the rest of her? And if she could keep herself alive, why couldn't she keep all parts of her alive? And it
Amazing.
worked with the magic system that I had created.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things where I'm like, okay, my brain did all of that in the background. Like, that's one of those things where I've been writing long enough where I trusted I knew that I would be able to justify this happening
Yeah.
in the world.
It was
The history-
brilliant.
The history made sense. I knew exactly whose intestines they were, but when
Yeah.
that sea monster came out as an intestine, I was like, no! I could not believe that's where we were headed.
I also love trying to take some trope or some expected thing and like, how can I make it different? And that
Yes.
felt like, okay, it's a sea book. They're on a ship the whole time. There's got to be a sea monster, but like, it can't be a kraken,
Yeah.
So I really was like, all right, what could I do? What could I do? I also I really wanted to hit home with this magic system, especially in book 2,
Right.
that it is grotesque and it is dangerous and it is awful.
Yeah.
Because why would Theodore have such an issue with Imogen performing magic if it weren't truly a
Yeah.
terrifying, gross
Yeah.
thing to
Yeah.
play with?
I mean,
Right.
the balance of how you wrote that of, obviously not just how the magic impacts externally as it's intended to, but also the impacts to the person and them getting physically ill and the things that are happening where they're trying to gouge their eyes out. To your point, like the stakes are unbelievably high. And to keep that going throughout the book in such a unique way, I was just blown away the entire time.
Thank you.
So impressive. So impressive.
Thank you. I think that I think another reason why I don't write trilogies, like I'll bring this back really quick, or why I'm not currently writing trilogies,
Yeah.
is that I really like when the tension gets to stay high, and especially in a romantic relationship. And
Oh.
I think it's just so hard to maintain tension in a romantic relationship over multiple books unless
Yes.
the first book is like a true slow burn and nothing happens.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But like,
Yes.
if we're going to have a romance arc in the first book, I got to be able to sustain. I don't want that to drop in the second.
Yes.
And so that was like a big part of, I wanted everything, the plot, the political aspects of it, the world around them to be at work trying to keep them apart, because that's the most fun thing to
Yeah.
read in a romance.
Absolutely. And that actually perfectly tees up our
Yes, I was
next
like, just
question.
open the door to Theo, why don't you?
Because literally blast that door open, because we were talking about it, and book 1 was a slow burn that, catches fire at the end, right? But then book 2 almost became a second slow burn
We
to a
ran
certain
it back.
degree. And we were running it back, and it was just built on this beautiful yearning and this like forbidden feeling that you could just literally feel deep in your gut. And so why would you say was that like the engine that you wanted for this romance versus that typical push and pull?
I think that this comes back to my love of character, and that the romances I like to write are about two people who are best suited to force each other to change. They are each other's catalyst.
Yeah,
And so to me, if they are in positions and everything around them is challenging them towards some sort of change, that is I'm a more emotionally invested reader
yeah,
in that than if it's just like, we should, we shouldn't, or, will we, won't we? Like, that's fun. And
right,
yet I don't feel like I can sustain that in a way that is satisfactory. So to
right,
me, I was like, okay, I'm going back to character. And I'm going to really think about, what do they have to learn from each other? What do they have to sacrifice if they want, what do they want? And that is sort of what I'm trying to build on top of, if that
yeah,
makes
Right.
sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
Um, that is like the drive for me. I
yeah.
think it's more interesting. I
And
like
It
to read
is.
books like
we
that.
have not shut up about Theo and his yearning for months now at this point,
He's
and we
so
were
good.
just
Actually,
talking about it yesterday again because in this genre, a lot of times the yearning is like kind of annoying in a way. Like they're like simping after the girl, following her around like a little puppy dog. But Theo is like a grown man that
at
is
28, by the way.
at 28, making decisions to change his actions, facing his nightmares, changes his way of life, stands up to the man because he wants Imogen so bad. And we were so obsessed with him.
This is just what we want from men, right? Like, this
Right.
is
Yeah.
Correct. I'm like, can he teach a master class, please? Like, help
This
us
is
out.
the quintessential, man written by
A
woman
Yeah.
woman.
needs to
Yeah.
save sort
Yeah.
of situation here.
Yeah.
Um,
You
but
did such a good job on him.
thank you. I love him, and he's very easy to like. His words came very easily for me. He was very
Mm.
fun to write and felt very um natural to write. And I do think that tends to come from just like, okay, I did the work at the beginning. Like, I
Yeah.
built the character and I
Yeah.
understood how he was, their dynamic.
Was
And
Yeah.
I
he
think
just
all of his stuff comes from that.
was he purely your brainchild, or did you have some sort of inspiration for like that you were drawing for as you or from as you were building him?
Not a specific like, he's not a proxy for another person, but I
Yeah.
will nag on my husband, who is incredible and um giving and supportive and just very one of a kind man. And
Yeah.
I have very high standards. And so
Love that.
let's
Love
go.
that.
We
Love
can
that.
write. And I also I love all kinds of male main characters, and I think
Yeah.
all kinds are fun. I just really love writing. I personally love writing like grown ass men who I'm not
Yes.
afraid of, who I'm not
Yes.
like scared of in any way, who are
Right.
not a threat to me. Like, that's my brand, I think, of male main characters. So I'm just sitting there and kind of, fantasizing.
Yeah.
We love reading these grown men, so thank you.
Yes, we love a
I'm
grown
glad.
man. So we love to ask how authors get in the mood to write their spicy scenes. So when you were thinking about Theo and Imogen, what did you have to do to mentally prepare? Like, did you have to like plot specific days? Did it come to you in the middle of a coffee shop when you least expected it? How did these scenes come about?
No, I mean, I definitely write in order. So like, when it's coming, like, I'm like, okay, this is the next scene. So there's no ramp up for me. It's like, okay, it's time.
Yep.
I don't really treat them any differently than an action scene. Like, there are
Okay.
things that need to happen. There's a certain rising and falling action. There
Mm,
are, I think that there are moments, like, I personally, in the kind of romance that I write, I want there to be an emotional aspect to the spicy scenes. Um, So they are in conversation, they are learning something, they are challenging one another. There's something that is happening in the midst of the physicality.
Right.
And that, I think, as a reader, I like reading scenes like that because I'm more emotionally invested. And
Yeah.
personally, like emotionally, I think for a lot of us, like the mind is the sexy place, you know? And
Yeah.
so you are in that emotional spot, that's the kind of like spice that I like to write.
You
Um,
know, I believe you, but also there's a scene in book 2 where they're having a serious conversation while he's licking her nipples.
yeah. See, I combined the two. It's like we
That's
got
the genius.
why can't we do this right now? Like, yes.
Oh
I
my
like
gosh, I loved it.
I don't want anything superfluous. So like, can I make the sex scenes matter? Can I
Yeah.
make can I make them pertinent to read?
Yeah.
Can something change through them? Like, I try to think of scenes that have a full arc. So like
Yeah.
at the end of that, nipple licking scene, there's a whole like new resolution and goal that they have
Right.
to set.
There really
Right.
is, and it's so
They're
funny to say out loud.
I know.
I know. Even as you were saying it, I was like, oh, that's more fun to read, I think.
Like, I'm fully invested in what's happening right now. I'm not.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, we need to talk about Imogen. We are literally obsessed
Oh,
with her.
our favorite girl.
I'm half convinced that I'm a siren after reading about her, to be honest with you. Or maybe I just want to be. I don't know. But she is a character that is so beautifully morally gray, like she's very relatable deeply, where it's like she owns her flaws, she owns her strengths, she owns all of these pieces of herself. She's obviously still conflicted in certain areas and things like that, but that had to have been such a hard balance to strike. So is there any of yourself that you put in her? And where do you feel like her voice actually came from as you were developing her?
I don't consider myself to be a self-insert writer. I think
Okay.
this kind of goes back to my like um theater days of working on character. Like that was my job, like
Right.
I do think though that even with that, like I was not a method actor. So like I wasn't like
I was just
fully
wondering that.
I'm like, but there's general, humanity and
Right.
relatability and empathy and understanding and experience. Like there are things in all of my characters that come from me.
Yeah.
Um, but I do think that Imogen, I don't set out to write a likable character. I think there are a good amount of readers who don't like her. And I
Yeah.
think that
Really
that
shocked.
is, you know,
No, not our
No,
girl.
I
no.
think that my only goal is to write a character that is true, that
Yeah.
their choices make sense, that that the trauma that they've experienced then affects them accordingly and they are working against those things. And that's really what I thought about with her is okay, if she grew up under these circumstances, what traumas would she have? What
Yeah.
things would
Right.
she have to work through? And to me, she's a very true character in that sense. And I wanted her to have flaws. I wanted her to grapple with them. I don't believe any one of us is wholly good or wholly evil. So writing a
Right.
morally gray character is an easier thing to do. It's just in a fantasy novel, they're amplified, right? They're
Sure.
Yeah.
they're a larger version. Um but I think that even with, like, my antagonists, I really try to think about, like,
Yes,
do
bring
we
this up, please.
understand them? Like, I want the antagonists to also there to be a thread of understanding why they're making the choice
Yes.
making, and that there's, like, a general humanity to them
Right.
that even if they've made the wrong choice, we see how they got there, and
Right.
that's how I feel about all of my characters, is I don't wanna come in with this, like, they're the hero and they're the villain. Like everybody's a human and everybody's made choices and we're just trying to make our way through them,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
toward what they want.
Yeah.
Okay, so literally until the last page of this duology, I felt bad for Halla. I felt bad for Halla,
She
and
did.
Cassie's like, why do you not dislike her? And I'm like, I understand her. She has so much trauma. They've made her be this person. And you know what? I actually felt bad for the Empress at one point too.
I understand all of it. I just, by the end, I was like, Halla! I just
Yeah.
wanted to shake her.
I'll get spoilery here.
Okay.
But yeah, Halla was like, I did so much research on like cult, cult
Mm,
growing up in
I
one.
can see that.
yeah,
Yeah, and that like this was a deeply instilled sort of religion, and like
right.
she is a product of that. And the similarity too was important between Imogen and Hala and
Yeah,
their relationships and their childhoods, and how
yeah,
in a lot of ways they had very very similar relationships or experiences with their parents, and um how what things in Imogen's life made her take the turns that she took,
right,
and what things in Hala's life made her take the road that she ended up taking.
right.
And um I think Agatha is a huge part of why Imogen ended up the way that she did, in
Mm-hmm.
that like she knew what it was to be loved. She knew what it was to be cared for.
Right.
Um Hala, spoilers, like didn't have that. And so like what are these I want us to feel sympathetic toward her,
Yeah.
and I want us to also be like, "Oh shit, like you're not your problem," you know? And
Yeah,
that is like
absolutely.
exactly the messy kind of, that's the most realistic to me too,
Yeah,
is I look at the world and I'm like, "Oh gosh, like there's certainly villains, and yet
right,
they are often a product of their circumstances."
right.
Yeah.
And
I
I think,
actually felt bad for all of the villains for a second at some point in both of these books. So you absolutely delivered on that.
I'm so
yeah,
glad. Yeah.
and with the magic, like I said earlier, like there's just this very clear, like good and evil with the magic system as well, which was incredibly unique. Like weren't just using the siren magic, there was also the spell magic and the mages and things like that.
Ooh, the
So,
mages.
where did you have inspiration for that, or where was kind of the intention behind that as you were drafting out the story?
The intention, I mean, I can talk to the magic system really quick too, is the intention for that was really like I wanted a magic system where there are two pieces to it,
Yeah,
and one, characters are inherently born with it, that sort of privilege and power, and others have to fight to have it.
yep,
And if we look at the themes of autonomy and um self-determination and all of those things that you see in the second book, of like everyone is trying to kind of free themselves and
right,
find some sense of power and safety for themselves.
right,
Like every character is really
Yeah.
trying to do that in some way, shape, or form. Um, and so that magic system of like born privilege and fighting like mad for it, and trying to find a way to get us to that was always my intention, is trying to this story trying to get us to a point where there was a little bit more balance in the world, and more that sort of power and privilege became more accessible, and that this disparity that we see was kind of evening a little bit because those with privilege were fighting to give that back in some way.
Hmm.
So that was like always my intention with the magic system.
Somebody that really stole mine and Cassie's hearts were Lachlan and Agatha. And
yeah.
we were dying to know, when you were writing this book and their relationship was blooming and them as individuals were coming to life, did you ever think to yourself, oh my gosh, I just accidentally wrote a spinoff?
I didn't. I did not. And I'm always afraid of like writing a character, especially when like I'm not a big plotter.
Mm,
I have a very like I will have my big moments in a story, but I do a lot of discovery when I'm actually drafting. And so I'm always concerned that my side characters will end up being like, oh, they're just there to serve this other person's,
Oh no. Oh
and
no.
so I think I'm so glad, because I think I work very hard to say like,
yeah,
okay, now I need to take a moment and build on these people, because I want them to serve as foils or mirrors to the characters that everyone is built with intention.
right.
I really try to weave everything together: the plot, the world, the magic system, their flaws, their strengths, everything works together to tell the whole story. And so
Yeah.
they're very specifically and thoughtfully created
Yeah.
to challenge Imogen to, how, like, looking at Lachlan and Theodore's how they're different and how they're alike. Same with
Right.
Imogen and Agatha. All of those things are very purposefully done. I just didn't realize until the end where I was like, I really love them though. And so
Yeah.
I really tried to give them enough autonomy in this story to feel like they stood on their own, because I ended up really, really loving them. And
Well,
so many readers have asked for like a novella for them.
I was gonna
I
say,
would love
what
that.
about a prequel novella
Yeah.
when they first
When they were
bonded
first
and they had to break them
married.
up? Yes.
Yes.
So many people want it, and I don't have plans for one right now. I would love to, but I have a whole publisher that I have to discuss
That's
that
fair.
with. But I would love to do it. I think it would be
We'll
so
talk
fun.
to them. We'll talk
Yeah,
to
we
them.
can reach out.
We'll chat. Yeah.
Well, that kind of brings us to like how you were able to wrap up this story. And I'm sure ending a duology where readers like us are so attached is an enormous task. So, obviously, without telling us what happens, what did you want readers to feel when they close the last book?
Relief.
A sigh of
A
relief.
deep breath.
Like wipe the brow.
Yeah.
Relief, satisfaction. I think that I put them through so much in these 2 books that, and I'd always had the ending. I always knew what that end scene was going to be.
Yep.
And so it was a lot of like, okay, how do I get us there in a way that I wanted the pain. I wanted I wanted it to feel impossible until the very end. I wanted
Right.
their relationship to feel, and I don't consider this a spoiler because I write romance, and romance has a happily ever after. So like, I'm very
Yeah.
much like, yes, like you can come to my books expecting,
You can come.
the
It's okay. It's comfortable.
hundreds of romance, but like, I want there to, I didn't want this to dip. I wanted us to get to the end and then us have that like
Yeah.
sigh of relief.
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
I personally appreciated it because there was a certain scene with the second mage in the second book where there were insects involved. And I was like, I need to send Kalie my therapy bill. I am unwell. And so I closed the book and I was like,
Awful.
okay, I can put that on my mind. I can anchor on this ending.
It's awful. I love the bug so much.
Oh my God. Which was there like ever a scene you were writing in either of these books where you were like, I cannot wait to see the readers' reactions to this?
Yeah, they were all the scenes that I was also like, am I okay? Like, why am I? There would be scenes like as I was writing it, I'm like, oh, like I'm having the best time. And then I would reread it and I would get a little sick to my stomach. And I
Yes.
no, like,
Yes. Yes. Same.
So I personally love it. I love borrowing from that kind of horror,
Yes.
just like the tinges of horror in there. But again, I think that was very intentionally like, we need to understand how grotesque this magic is. We need to
Right.
understand the stakes for all of them here.
Yeah.
And how, like, what better way to do that than by like grossing you out,
I
Oh my
agree.
gosh.
I totally agree. My heart was racing.
The imagery of this book was made to be adapted. Like, I
Yeah.
swear, if I don't see this on a screen with my own eyeballs at some point in my life, I'm revolting.
Well, thankfully, we've already seen it in our brains so
Yeah,
beautifully.
it was in there.
Oh my goodness. Well, you have talked broadly about how so you're Puerto Rican and Irish, which
Mhm.
is amazing, by the way. I would love to come to a family party of yours. Kind of shaping how you see the world. If you're open to it, we would love to hear how any of that has made its way into your writing, or if that's influenced any of your writing as well.
I definitely think for this story, there is a sense of, I mean, the major theme is belonging in this story. And Imogen kind of being a daughter of this place, but not really belonging anywhere
yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, not so specific to my experience. It is certainly based on mine, but I also think that's a very universal feeling. That's a very
Yeah.
universal human experience to search for where you belong within your life, you know?
Yeah.
And so that was very much the seed of Imogen's story. And I
Yeah.
think that there's a lot too, you know, as a like white passing Latina and
Mhm.
who I have um growing up in this like diaspora of n- claiming and being raised in a Puerto Rican home,
Sure.
and yet not it being not fully my lived experience does not reflect that of my Puerto Rican family who lives on the island. Like I've had a
Right.
Yeah.
experience.
Right.
Um and so there's a lot of that I think in this story too for Imogen of like she doesn't she grew up not knowing her what she was, you know, she grew
Yeah.
Yeah.
up away from her people and away from her home and away from all of these sort of ancestral things that
Yeah.
she should have had.
Yeah.
Um and so I think there's a lot of that in the seeds of this story.
Yeah.
Um but again, I think that's really universal. I
Yeah.
think that can be for any of us, you know,
Yeah.
that is started or comes from so many different things.
Yeah, you can definitely feel it. You put it into your
Yeah.
writing.
Agreed.
Everything you've shared, I'm like, I 100% know what you're talking about because I can feel
Thank
this in your writing so deeply. I think that when I walked away from this duology, I thought the writing of these, the number one thing, the writing of these stories were so beautiful. And I
Yes.
just feel like so connected to everything because of the way these were written. So you really did the big one on these.
you. That's
Agreed.
very
Agreed.
nice from my heart. Thank you.
Well, we would love to know what's next from you or for you. Are you taking a break? Are you like, once this is
Yeah.
done, once I'm
Is it a book
I've done my
tour?
press tour, I'm good. What's next?
I turned in my third book to my editor on Monday of this week.
Oh my gosh.
So
Wow.
I
So
am
Congrats.
exciting.
I'm free for a little bit. I don't think I will have edits again until like mid-August. So that is very nice to I get
Yeah.
to tour and I get to go talk about um Wake without having edits hanging over me, which last year I was touring for Veins while in
Oh,
developmental edits for this book
Too
and it
much.
yeah.
was oh, so
Too
hard. It was
much.
so
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Um so that was one of my requests where I was like, okay, for this next book, like if possible, could I like not have to do dev
Yeah.
edits while I'm traveling, please? I beg.
Right.
And my wonderful, incredible editor was able to work that out. I don't know what I can say. We're not announcing the second or the next, you know, books
Yeah.
Okay.
yet, but I will say a few little
Okay.
hints.
I'm
We would love
fully
that.
I'm
You
fully
little
clenching right now.
okay, it is like a dash of Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies,
Oh.
heaping spoonful of Frankenstein,
Oh,
um,
Yes.
a little bit of The Village, M. Night Shyamalan.
No, I don't want that. I'm just kidding.
Kaylee.
I'm scared. I'm
I would say
terrified.
it's like my ode to my childhood love of A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh!
It's like a sprinkling of all of these things.
Kaylee, you just sent me into the stratosphere. I think you actually just named every single one of my favorite things other than The Village.
Yeah.
Oh
Like, that might be
my
the only
gosh.
thing. But
You
literally
knew I had to have something disturbing in
well,
there.
Yes.
clearly I'm a complete scaredy cat if I was terrified of the bugs. But everything else, oh my God. I don't know I'm not going to know what to do with myself after this. I'm going to have to take a
No.
walk.
Excited. I'm okay. The fact that you're excited makes me even more excited. I cannot wait to
Yes.
share it. I
Yes.
am so excited to edit it. I am just. We get to announce soon, I think. So I'm like I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
I
Nightmare
cannot wait.
Before Christmas is like such a trigger word for everybody. I feel like everybody's deeply obsessed with
That
that.
is so a part of my lore, Kaylee.
Yeah.
I
I love it so
can't.
much. Like,
Oh,
creepy Christmas is
yeah.
my heart. So
Yep.
So
And
do you
yep.
think you're gonna go duology again?
I can't say.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see.
Fair.
We'll see. I'll let you know soon.
Oh my gosh. We're
Wow,
so
amazing.
excited. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Well, before we go, is there anything that you want your future readers to know, whether it's about the Siren Mage duology, about you, about the book, about the launch, anything that you want to share before we wrap it up?
I think my like the thing that I just am gushing with lately is just gratitude for
Mhm.
every reader that has picked up this book, that has told a friend about this book, um, that has pre-ordered the next book. These last 2 years have been really life-changing and remarkable, and I am constantly blown away and a little sort of like, "What the hell?" Like, it is so
Oh,
like, in the best way. It is just there's no feeling, quite like when your work finds its readers, and so,
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just very grateful. I'm very grateful for all the support. I'm
Okay,
grateful.
but don't forget to also, like, know that you deserve this and you put the hard work into it,
Every
and,
ounce of
like,
it.
this was all you, girlfriend. This
Thank
was all
you.
Completely.
you.
That means so much, and
Completely.
but I will say, like, with my mushy heart that, like, publishing is such a weird job in that
Yeah.
it is not a meritocracy.
Yeah.
And
Mm,
every single author I know works their asses off.
Yeah.
And so it is, like, so hard to, to see everyone that just they're all working so hard and, like,
Yeah.
it is
yeah.
and it's, it's emotional when you're like,
Yeah.
"Wow, like, okay, there's luck here. There's so many things
Yeah.
that come in." So I am just, like, sitting over here. I know I worked hard, and I'm so proud of my work,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
I'm so grateful, I'm
Oh,
so
Yeah.
grateful.
well, we're so grateful to you, and we are so proud of you and proud of this story and
Thank
proud to
you.
be super fans of this story. And we
Yeah.
cannot continue to, or can't wait to continue to shout it from the rooftops and bring everyone else into our cult. We're turning it to Halla.
Yeah,
I wanted to shake her, and now I am her.
I know, you're like, "Wait, I get it." Yeah.
I got it. It's happened.
Um,
Well, In the Wake of the Ruined is out now. Follow Kalie at Kalie Cassidy Books on Instagram. I'm not sure if you're anywhere else that you would want to shout
On
out.
Instagram right now, yeah.
Okay, perfect. And continue to follow on her journey. And let's all stay tuned for this next project that we're all insanely excited for.
Thank you for having me. This was wonderful.
All right. Well, in the meantime, we'll see you same time, same place. Grab your blankets, grab your book boyfriends, and we'll see you then.
see ya.